Hey everyone, welcome back to Beekeeping with Natalie, or welcome to if you are new. Today's video I'm really excited for, but I'm also really nervous about, just because Corey at least, went through a lot of work to actually get to where we are now, so I want to make sure that we're doing this right. But what we're doing today, or where did I put it? Oh, this is going well. Anyways, what we're doing today is my last video I talked about AI, just whatever you want to call it. And basically Corey inseminated some queens. If you don't know, Corey Stevens is here in Missouri. He's kind of in the middle of nowhere in Missouri, but we made the trek down there to see him and get some queens inseminated, and we have 4 of them today that we're going to put into hives. So I'm going to show you what that looks like and how we're doing it today. Now, of course, I don't have anything put together, so I'm going to walk over here and grab this, but I know Corey has talked about this before. And Corey actually has a few of his while we were down there that he was doing the same thing with. We've done this on quite a few hives, honestly. So it's called a push-in cage. This is what it looks like. We just kind of throw them together with some wiring. I don't know exactly what kind of wiring this is. This isn't chicken, is it? I don't remember what this is, but anyways, I'm sure a guy could figure it out pretty easily. So we just have this that we kind of fold into like a square. This one's pretty big, but you want them to be pretty good size. And then what we're gonna do is take these queens and we're gonna put them into this pushing cage on the frame. That way it kind of isolates her a little bit. And because our biggest fear is if they just all of a sudden decide to ball her and kill her. So we're gonna hope that that doesn't happen with the method we're using today. But because of the time of the year, and I know Bob Benny was talking about this too in like one of his last videos, you can make a split out of like 2 frames. So that's what we're doing because we've split like all of our hives down. So I'm just gonna make sure that there's not like a ton of bees in here, because if there's a lot in here, I feel like there's a little bit more of a risk of them balling her. Now, I'm not the expert on it, of course. I know Corey knows a lot about this, but basically all I've got in here is just a solid frame of honey that I found from another hive. So I put that in here, so that gives them a ton of food. And then I've just got a foundation frame, kind of gives them a little something to do here, because they're not really going to be going anywhere for the next week or so. We're just going to kind of be waiting. And then I've got this frame of brood here. Now there's a good bit of drone brood right here, so I'm not going to put the pushing cage right here, but figuring out where you want to actually put it is a little bit of the important part, because we've had some problems with this. I know Corey hasn't really had too many problems with it, but we last week or so had the issue of hive beetle larvae, and it was really bad. So basically what had happened is we put this pushing cage in somewhere, and then there was a lot of pollen in there, and because there's not really many bees that can get in there and take care of it, they ended up just getting a lot of larvae and beetles, and it kind of ruined the whole frame and hive. So you want to make sure that you're going somewhere that doesn't have a ton of pollen. Like if you just put it on a solid frame of pollen and there's really no bees in there, the likelihood of you getting some beetles in there is pretty high. So with that being said, I tried to find some frames of brood that were pretty solid, but also frames of brood that had some emerging. So I found some somewhere in here. I don't know if I can find them, but so there's one here and then one here. They're starting to emerge, which is really good. That's what I'm looking for. So somewhere, I mean, you can see that girl coming out right now. The lighting's not the best, but there she is. So this is like the perfect spot. Right about here is where I'm gonna put that pushing cage. So there's that girl coming out, but I think I'm gonna do it probably right here. And then there's really no pollen or anything in here, so this is a good spot, I'm gonna say. Now I'm only gonna keep up to 5 to 10 bees in this pushing cage. I don't want it to be like that many bees, like down here at the bottom. I don't want a ton of bees in there. So I'm just gonna do it, I think about right here. So there's only a few bees in that. So then I'm just gonna lay this down and we're gonna see how this goes. I've done it a couple times already just to figure it out. So here's my queen. She's excited. She's been tearing this this candy up a lot. So I'm gonna push this cage in a little bit. You just push it into that wax. And then these cages here, I'm just gonna pop this piece off. And she's right there at the top there. So I'm gonna stick this cage in, or this, cage in here, and then hopefully she'll just kind of walk out of there. She's got a nice green dot on her, so we'll be able to see her. She's number 19. Let's see if she'll come out. She's up in that candy a little bit. I'm not gonna force her out or anything because I just wanted her to take her time, get out of there slowly. These are the queens that I'm trying to be really, really careful with. I might just open it up completely. Let's just do that. That way we can get her out of there. So I'm just gonna take the whole thing off and then stick her in there. Some of the attendants in here are dead, but she's still alive. I'm just gonna stick it in there. I really don't want her getting out, so I'm gonna keep that cage under it. And then she's up in here. Okay, there she goes. Starting to come up. Some of them are a little stubborn, but I mean, if you leave it there. Okay, there she goes. So she just walked out, and the first thing she did was stick her head into one of those cells. I don't know if you can see her, but she's a little bit of a darker queen. One thing about this that's really nice is you can kind of pick your queens. So we picked some colors that we really liked. Now what I'm doing here is just smushing this cage in to that comb. That way she can't get out. So she's going down in those cells looking. We're gonna keep this push-in cage on for the next week or so. I'm gonna come back in a couple of days. Now because I'm really excited about this, it's gonna be hard not to come back every day. So I might end up coming back tomorrow and just checking to see how she's doing. Now there's a lot of bees in here emerging, so bees are gonna come out and emerge and start taking care of her really soon here. We're gonna do another one over here. So I'm gonna leave her. I like to kind of just check her a little bit. I watched that last one for like 5 minutes. I'm gonna put her back in here. Now because that push-in cage is right there, you can't smush the frames together fully. So I'm just gonna leave it. I'm just now realizing I don't have a veil on, but you know what? It's fine. Okay, so the frames aren't gonna push fully together, but just enough. Let me put this on because they're not too happy with me. So then I'm just gonna leave her in there for the next week, and then eventually we'll probably let her out. I don't know how long it's gonna take for her to start laying, but we're just gonna find out here. Now, I'm gonna close it up. Then what I'm gonna do, there's a decent amount of bees in here. Like I said, I don't want a crazy amount in there. So I didn't shake like really any bees. I just kind of took what was ever on those frames. Now, tomorrow I'm gonna come back and check to see how she's looking and how the hive is looking. And if they look really light on bees, then I'll go ahead and add some more bees. Now how I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna just take from a hive that has a crazy amount of bees. I'm just gonna shake it in front of these entrances here, and then the forager bees will go back, and then those nurse bees will stay. That way we're making sure we get a really good amount of nurse bees in here. Okay, so then with this frame of brood, this right here looks really nice because it's just a solid frame right there. And then let's see this side. This one's got quite a bit of eggs, and then this over here looks good, but there's a good bit of pollen in there. So I'm not gonna go over there. I think I'm gonna go probably right in here because I've also got 2 bees here emerging, looks like 3. So this spot right here is where I'm gonna put that cage. So let's do that. Now if you can't get the bees, like when I put this cage down, there's already a pretty good amount of bees in there. Now if they're not going out, if you just kind of blow on them a little bit, they'll get out of that cage, and then that way you only have a couple of bees in there. I'm actually gonna put a few more in there. Okay, so just like that. And then here's number 18. I'm just gonna do the exact same thing I just did. I'm gonna push this top side in a little bit, and then I'm gonna stick her in here. So I can see her green dot. She's right here at the end. Just gonna wait for her to come out. Probably just need to open it up again fully. There she goes. So it looks almost like they were kind of balling her, but I think it's okay. So that's just one thing you're going to want to look at for the next couple of minutes right when you put her in there. Just make sure that they're not doing anything you don't want them to do. I'm just going to make sure this is pushed in enough. So they're on top of her a little bit, but can't quite figure out what's happening. They might be balling her, so I'm just going to pull her out. So this bee right here, not looking too nice. So one thing that you want to check to make sure is that there's definitely no queen in here, because if there is a queen in here, that's definitely going to make them try to ball her. I'm going to put a little less bees in there and see. I couldn't really figure out if they were or if they weren't. They might just be on top of her trying to take care of her. Let's just watch them a little bit. So the first thing she's doing is going down into those cells and making, or just checking. All of them have done that so far. It looks okay. I'm just gonna watch them for a little bit. All right, we're just gonna watch her, come back and make sure that she's okay here. It looks like they're just kind of taking care of her, maybe cleaning her up a little bit. So I'm just gonna watch her for the next couple minutes, make sure nothing's happening, make sure they're not balling her, and then if they do, we'll figure it out from there. But I think that's kind of it. Now we just wait for another week or so, and then we'll let her out into this hive and just continue to give them whatever they need. I made sure to put them into most shade, that way they don't get too hot or overheated, especially in these pro nukes here. I think that's it. So we'll keep you updated on how these bees do. I know one thing, I don't know if I talked about this already, Corey talked about how his bees actually make a tunnel all around it, and then they actually get the queen out. My bees have never done that. I don't know why, but we're gonna see what they do. So if that might be one thing that they actually do instead. You might not have to manually let her out. They might just get her out of there already. But I think that's pretty much it. So we'll keep you updated, and thanks for watching today's video. Follow along for more bee adventures, and be here next time on Beekeeping with Natalie.